All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the March Brooklyn DD Council monthly meeting. Happy spring. Hopefully no more snow is in our near future. Um, Glad everyone can make it today. We have two really good presentations coming up. One from Megan Johannesson from New York Lawyers for Public Interest on the OPWDD housing subsidy program. And Dion Jones, the founder of Uniquely Me Creative Arts, wants to give an update and brief presentation on what's going on at UMCA. And I know they had a good legislative event this past weekend. So we'll get started. Some brief updates from the Brooklyn Council. So please put it in your calendars, save the date. We are coming back to Brooklyn College for our big family support fair this June. It is Thursday, June 18th from 9:30 to 2 at Brooklyn College's Student Center. You will see registration and flyers and all that good stuff that fills your inboxes coming out by the end of this week. It'll be posted on our Facebook, on our website, everywhere you can go to find the information. Um, Member agencies will get a discount. Paid member agencies will get a discount at tabling at the event, but anyone is welcome to table, and you'll get all the information later in the week, including sponsorship opportunities and things like that that we've had in the past. It's been really well attended the last few years since we got back to it from COVID. Last year we had over 300 people attend, and I think we had about 77 agencies show up. So usually we're across 3 floors at the student center. So I'm hoping this year will be even bigger and better, and you guys help make it that way. So thank you all who participate and attend and help us plan it. The other brief thing that I'm sure will be touched on from Joe from IAC when we get to their update, but please keep an eye on your inbox. There's lots of emails coming out with advocacy letters, the one clicks to reach out to your elected officials. Please do not ignore those. Click on them, share them with your networks. It takes all of 1 minute to go in, just enter your name, email, and address, and it'll find your specific elected official. And really it just, it sends out the message in bulk on our advocacy asks about funding our field, funding the support for the people we care about. Um, so I've shared some, you're probably getting some from many other sources throughout the field. Take a few minutes to click on them, share them with your circles, put them on your social medias. The more we can get the message out there to our electeds, the greater chance that the funding is put into the budget to support everything that we do every day. Rochelle, any updates from you on behalf of the council?
No, not today.
Okay. All right. So I will circle back later on to our committee updates, but I want to keep this going since we do have two presentations today, and I'm going to pass it on to OPWDD. Did I see Nina? Is Nina here yet?
Brian Watson, our new coordinator, is here.
Brian, you're not filling in for Nina, right?
Good morning, everyone. No, I'm not filling in for Nina. We do have
I
who's
do see
on?
Lucy.
Lucy is on the call also. Miss O'Maisie.
Lucy, do you know if Nina will be joining us? It shows you're unmuted, but we can't hear you if you're trying to talk, Lucy. All right. So what we will do is we'll flip around and we will go to IAC first. I hope that's okay with you, Joe.
I guess we'll all see together. This is my first try, so my apologies if I'm a little wooden today, but I do have all the information that at least I can pass along to you. So I want to just first take a second to introduce myself to anybody I haven't met yet. My name is Joe Medler. I'm the new Vice President for Adult Services here at IAC. I'm looking forward to participating in your group and being any kind of support that I can be to all the good work that you guys are doing. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me with anything. Mine's the same naming convention as all the other emails at IAC. It's just joe@iacny.org. If you have anything you want to reach out and discuss or have any conversations, just don't hesitate to reach out. Let me just jump right in, get started here. We continue to monitor appropriations at the federal level, but it's important to remember that we're in a partial shutdown. While there are many issues at play beyond the scope of our specific imperatives, it's important to monitor the situation so we can remain nimble. Things move fast, and especially around this time of year, we want to make sure that we're able to respond should situations and information change. Advocacy, though, never needs to rest when it comes to ensuring the care and support of our constituents' needs are funded. It's your voice in advocating for these priorities that remains vital. So as we seek to ensure ongoing quality of life for the people we care for. So on the federal level, just current state issues, we continue to await the FY 2027 presidential budget, which will shape Medicaid, SNAP, special education, and a whole bunch of other important portions of the government for us. Federal cuts, agency layoffs, they've reduced staffing at CMS, the Department of Education, and other agencies supporting disability services. Shutdown risks and continuing resolutions have disrupted operations, delaying approvals for Medicaid waivers, state plan amendments, and disability-related services. And threats to the IDEA infrastructure, education infrastructure, and dismantling of disability employment protections are creating instability for both families and providers. Our current advocacy goals continue to be to protect Medicaid, SNAP, and other disability-related federal funding streams from cuts. We need to restore federal workforce capacity at both CMS and Department of Education to ensure timely approvals and oversight. We continue to seek to maintain and strengthen disability employment protections and oppose rollbacks that reduce accountability for federal contractors and ensure the continuation of essential telehealth policies and federal health flexibilities that impact people with IDD. Now, member actions that we would hope people can take is to contact your U.S. senators and representatives and urge them to protect disability-related funding and workforce capacity issues. Complete all national one-click advocacy actions shared through IAC, CP State, NIDA, and partner organizations. To reinforce what Brian was saying, please open those emails and please make sure you go through the steps. It's very simple. They've made it very easy. Read through the issues. They can help you if you want to have conversations with your representatives as well. They also act as talking points in many ways. So please ensure that we are following through on all of those whenever we can. And moving on to state talking points. By the way, I will, after my presentation, I will be putting the links into the chat for the one-clicks that we have access to for everybody to use and to share widely. All right, moving on to the New York State issues. Our current state, New York State's budget negotiations are underway. One House budget proposals included a 4% funding increase for targeted inflationary increase. This is great. This was in excess of what we had been advocating for and far in excess of what the governor's initial budget proposals had. The Senate and Assembly differ on the restrictions for staff wage increases. And salaries are of utmost importance to us, but we are asking for flexibilities as agencies struggle to keep up with rapidly increasing costs, inclusive of such things as like healthcare benefits. Early intervention funding inconsistencies remain between proposals, with the state share of the 5% increase still unresolved. Both houses have included an approximate 5% rate increase for EI, and due to late submission to CMS for the previously approved increase, providers are still waiting. OPWDD regulatory changes, including Article 16 eligibility requirements, ADMs, and clinic funding adjustments have created uncertainty. In regard to Article 16 clinics, those who have an IDD diagnosis but are not OPWDD eligible can no longer receive Article 16 clinic services and must be served elsewhere. However, Article 16 can still provide evaluations to determine eligibility. Workforce shortages across OPWDD, education, and early intervention sectors continue to threaten service quality and provider stability. So what are we advocating for? So at baseline, we must secure the full 2.7% targeted inflationary increase. That's baseline to keep pace with provider costs. However, the recent passage of the proposed 4% total increase as a result of that, we've changed our talking points at this time to include language that insists on a minimum of 2.7%. However, we would like to advocate, obviously, for the full 4%. We're hoping to ensure implementation of the 5% early intervention increase retroactive to October of 24, and an additional 8% rate increase. We continue to support SED and OPWDD priorities, including excessive teacher turnover prevention program, capital funding for schools, and policies ensuring free and appropriate education through the age of 22. We seek to protect the 30% Article 28 increase and support joint licensure between Article 28 and 16 clinics, and strengthen investments in workforce recruitment, compensation, housing stability, and affordability. That's a part of our Care Force agenda. Member action steps that we can take. Please share the state one-click advocacy letters widely with families, staff, and community members. Meet with your state senators and assembly members to discuss the impact of the targeted inflationary increase, early intervention rates, and workforce challenges. We encourage you to use the one-click letters as talking points for any such meetings. Testify or submit written testimony at budget hearings on education, mental hygiene, childcare, and OPWDD services. We're thankful for all those who attended IAC Lobby Days in Albany last month. It was a huge success, and you made your voices heard, and we have laid the groundwork for ongoing conversations around our priorities. For all of those who attended or assisted, thank you very much. We encourage you to attend Education Lobby Days. I believe they're in early May 5th, perhaps, I believe, and take advantage of any local opportunities you may become aware of, where you can express your concerns directly to your representatives. We encourage you to use provider data and family stories to illustrate the needs for predictable and adequate funding. Finally, our current state. New York City leadership changes, including a new mayor and new schools chancellor and new city council leadership. The new New York City Early Intervention Public Referral Portal improves access but highlights persistent workforce shortages. Child care expansion initiatives, for example, 2Care, have impacted recruitment and retention across EI and 4410 programs. School transportation instability, including potential bus service disruptions, poses challenges for students with disabilities. Permitting and inspection processes for center-based EI and 4410 programs remain slow and burdensome. We're seeking to protect and expand capacity for EI, 4410, and other early childhood programs serving children with disabilities. We're ensure city childcare and universal pre-K expansions does not destabilize specialized early childhood programs. We're seeking to improve school transportation reliability and safety, especially for students with disabilities. And we're looking to streamline permitting processes, like I said, for EI and 4410 centers to reduce delays and support growth. We encourage you to testify at your council budget hearings related to education, childcare, Medicaid transportation, and disability supports. We encourage you to submit written testimony and encourage families and staff to share real experiences with EI, 4410 transportation, and permitting challenges. Please attend Pupil Transportation Advocacy Commission hearings and other community engagement meetings, and promote the awareness of EI referral portals and ensure families know how to navigate New York City services. These are all issues that we are currently working through and working to advocate for. Like I said, I will send out the one-clicks. We're looking, particularly the IAC one-clicks. We are looking at targeted inflationary increase, restore funding for OPWDD healthcare enhancement programs, include affordable housing initiatives to stabilize the DSP care force, and increase New York State child and dependent care credit. Finally, if I can find it here, one second. My apologies for the delay. This was brought to my attention this morning by Kate Hoy, and I'm very glad she did. The ARC is has a advocacy campaign currently to ensure that we protect voting rights for people with disabilities. I'll be sure to get that into the link to that advocacy action into the chat after my portion of the presentation. But I wanted to bring it to your attention now and make sure that we take action on this critically important issue. So that's it for me from IAC. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer. What I don't have, I can certainly bring back. Ellen, I see your hand up.
How are they guaranteeing that it will not destabilize early intervention programs?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. I don't have the answer to that. I'm working primarily with the adult programs, but I can bring that question and get an answer to you, Ellen.
I hope as soon as possible, because if K2 and K3 is fully implemented in September, it will destabilize early intervention programs.
Right.
And I think that's the plan. Not that I'm a suspicious old biddy.
Well, I don't think it's a very reasonable time to be suspicious. So I think I will follow up on that and see what I can find for you and get back to you. I'll get the information to Brian as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Deborah, I see your hand up.
Hello. Nice to meet you virtually. I would also appreciate if you would send it to the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council. We do work together as a partner with Brian. We have our own website, and we also we will put on whatever letters you need. But I need you to email. Do you have my email?
I don't. If you want to put it in the chat, or if you want to just
I'll
send it
put
to me, send me an email too, or however you would prefer.
I'll put it in the chat.
Sounds good. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
And I do just want to say really quick, Rihanna, who usually attends our meetings from Department of Health, actually just reached out about someone from the Department of Health doing an early intervention session with us at one of our upcoming meetings. So I'm trying to schedule it for, I believe, the May meeting. So I'm just waiting to hear back from her on availability, because it's not her, it's someone else in her office. Any other questions for Joe? All right, you got off easy today, Joe.
Works for me. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
and please let
the
me know
update.
anything I can do to help.
Yeah, appreciate your support from IAC and being here for the updates. Do we have Nina? Did she join us? All right, I still don't see her. Megan, would you be okay going early? I see you're here, so I'm sure that works for you.
Yes, that works for me.
All right, so again, we have Megan Johannesson from New York Lawyers for the Public Interest, and she's going to do a presentation for us on the OPWDD Housing Subsidy Program. All right, so it's all yours, Megan.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to share my screen.
Let me make you a co-host. You should be good now.
Okay. Okay. Can everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see the slides. I'm just... Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Megan Johannesson. I am a staff attorney and Equal Justice Works Fellow at New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. New York Lawyers for the Public Interest is a legal nonprofit, and we provide free legal services to people on various issues. And today I'm going to be presenting on the housing subsidy program that OPWDD offers. Before I start, I want to also flag that we've gotten word that this program may be changing. The way that OPWDD makes the rules for this program is in a policy memo called an ADM, and there may be a new ADM coming out soon. So this presentation is based on the current ADM, but I just want to point out that that may be changing in the coming weeks. So just keep an eye out for that. Can we all see the next slide that says, what is the OPWDD housing subsidy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what is OPWDD housing subsidy? It used to be called the ISS program, or the Individual Supports and Services program. And it's essentially a program that helps people with developmental disabilities pay for housing in the community. I'll get into more of the details throughout the presentation, but the application happens in two stages. There, you can kind of think of it in two categories. For the preliminary approval, which is the first stage, it's about the eligibility of the person. And then final approval, which is the second stage, is about the eligibility of the housing unit or the building that you live in. And it just helps people live in the community. Oops. So first we'll talk about the eligibility criteria for the person, which is part of the first part of the application. There's some requirements that you have to meet if you want to get the housing subsidy. So first, you have to be already established with OPWDD eligibility. You also have to be 18 years or older, and you have to be able to live independently. You can rely on services in order to live independently, but your life plan has to show that those services and supports are available to you, and you can't need more than the services that are documented in your life plan. Independently doesn't mean you have to live completely alone. You can live with roommates or family or caregiver, but you do have to be able to live independently to qualify for the housing subsidy. Also, you have to apply for all other benefits that you qualify for before applying for the housing subsidy. So for example, Section 8 housing choice vouchers, Social Security, SNAP benefits, HEAP benefits, etc. And if you can, you have to apply for them every year. But if you get a housing subsidy from a different source, like Section 8, then you will not qualify for the OPWDD housing subsidy. Also, you have to have enough other resources to meet basic essentials after you pay for housing costs. So you have to be able to pay for housing costs with the subsidy and then also be able to pay for things like food and other basic essentials to qualify. Finally, you as the person with OPWDD eligibility have to have the legal and financial responsibility for the housing unit. So in less fancy terms, that means that you're the one with your name on the lease if you rent. And if you own the house or apartment, then your name has to be on the deed. And just to note, you can't refinance the house or add a name to the deed just for the purpose of accessing the housing subsidy. So next we can get into the eligibility requirements for the housing. In order for housing to be covered by the housing subsidy from OPWDD, it has to be generally available to the public. So this means that there can't be restrictions to live there based on disability, and any member of the public is allowed to rent it out. It also has to be a separate legal dwelling, which means that it can't be a single room in a larger housing unit. It has to be a place that's legally allowed to be rented out. That's usually shown by something called a certificate of occupancy, but there might be different certificates and different documents based on where you live. Also, the housing has to meet the OPWDD Housing Subsidy Quality Assurance Expectations Checklist, which is a super long name, but it's basically a document that has a list of requirements that are aimed at making sure that the place is safe and suitable for a person to live in. Most of the requirements are about the physical structure of the building and the housing, but it's all aimed towards safety. For example, the checklist requires the house to have a separate bathroom in the housing unit with a working shower or bath. There also has to be a safe and sanitary place to prepare and store food so you can cook. And you also have to have an evacuation plan that's specific to your needs, that's developed by your care manager and reviewed by you. Oh, I forgot to mention this checklist has to be maintained throughout while you're living there. So you have to satisfy that before final approval and then also every year after it. And also anytime OPWDD requests you to fill out that checklist. You also, in order for housing to qualify for the housing subsidy, no more than 4 unrelated adults can live together, or the maximum number of unrelated adults that are allowed in your area. This is like a housing law that it's basically you just have to follow the local law of how many adults are allowed to live together in a unit. If that's less than 4 or 4 maximum by the OPWDD rules. Also, if you live in OPWDD certified housing, that does not qualify for the housing subsidy. And finally, housing that you live in, it can't be institutional. So in the next slide, we'll get into what that means. The ADM, which is the policy memo that I mentioned at the beginning, doesn't actually define what institutional housing means. And it can be a complicated legal determination to figure out whether housing is institutional. But in general, if you're part of your community and you have more freedom of choice of where you go and what you do, if you have employment outside of the home, or the opportunity for employment outside of the home, and if you interact with people who don't have disabilities, who don't live with you, or who do have disabilities and don't live with you, those kinds of things make it less likely that it's an institutional setting, and that's usually called an integrated setting. So the more freedom of choice you have, the more likely it is to be integrated and would qualify, but the less freedom of choice you have, the more likely it is to be institutional and the less likely it is to qualify. So now I'll get into how you actually apply for the housing subsidy. Like I mentioned before, there's 2 stages. If you don't have a care manager, but you have OPWDD eligibility, you can apply yourself. But if you have a care manager, it's recommended that you apply with your care manager because eligibility is complicated, as we talked about for the past couple of minutes. So it's recommended that they help you with that. But for the first part of the application, the preliminary application focuses on your individual eligibility. In order to start your application for preliminary application, you don't have to have your housing yet because it just focuses on the individual. If you're approved at preliminary application, then you'll have 90 days to find housing that meets the housing eligibility criteria. If you can't find housing within those 90 days, you are allowed to request an extension, but you should request the extension from the DDRO before the 90 days expires. Otherwise, you'll have to start over from square one, reapply for preliminary approval. Once you find housing that you think qualifies, you'll need to submit other documents and finish the final application. So some of those things might be a lease, a participation agreement, the checklist filled out properly, and then you ask for final approval. So after you get final approval, that's when you actually can start getting payments. Preliminary approval does not mean that you're set to go and you 100% will get the payments. You have to get final approval before you're able to get payments from the subsidy. Another available option for people in this application process is called a transition stipend. The transition stipend helps you pay for things that are related to the cost of moving, so things like buying new furniture. This is a one-time payment and it can't be used for recurring payments, so like bills for internet or gas and electric. It can't be used for those things, but it can be used for buying things like furniture and utensils for your kitchen if you need them. And in case I didn't mention it already, that you can only get this one time. There's also an option for you to request a stipend for a security deposit. So sometimes when you move in, they request the cost of 1 month's rent to put down as a security deposit, and you can ask OPWDD to help pay for that. And like I mentioned, after final approval is when you actually start to get the money. Now you may be wondering, how much can you actually get from the housing subsidy? The housing subsidy is intended to help pay for housing costs, but it is not intended to pay for 100% of housing costs. And there is a sort of complicated calculation formula on how to figure out how much money you get. But the general goal of the housing subsidy program is that you will pay 30% of your income towards the cost of housing. And then whatever is left over is what the housing subsidy covers. So basically, this is a very simplified version of how the calculation works. So you should talk about it in more detail when it comes time to apply. But in general, you'll look at how much money you make in a month, and then we take away certain expenses to make that number lower. The expenses that get taken out, there's a long list, but some examples are utilities and certain medical or family expenses are taken out. So whatever your monthly income is, minus those costs, you calculate 30% of that number. And whatever 30% of that number is how much you're generally expected to pay towards housing. And then the housing subsidy is supposed to cover the rest of it. So there are maximums in depending on your region and how big your apartment is / how many people you live with. So usually the number of bedrooms or the number of people that live there. So that's something to look out for, that you could end up contributing more than 30% of your monthly income towards housing costs, but the general goal is 30%. So to kind of walk it back, because I know numbers are not everybody's favorite, the goal is that you contribute 30% of your monthly income towards housing. So for example, if you live in an apartment that costs $2,000 per month and 30% of your income is $500 per month, then the goal would be that the housing subsidy would cover $1,500 per month. So you'll pay $500 a month and OPWDD housing subsidy will pay the remaining $1,500. And like we mentioned earlier, you can live with other people, but the housing subsidy only covers your share of the rent. It doesn't cover your roommate's share or the entire rent. It's just your share. So if anything goes wrong, you are entitled to something called dispute resolution. And this is basically the process where you can challenge a decision that OPWDD made that you don't agree with. So if you apply for the housing subsidy and it's denied, or you have a housing subsidy and it gets taken away, that's called getting terminated, you're allowed to challenge that decision. So OPWDD should send you a written notice about whether you're denied or terminated, and then you'll have 15 days from the date of that decision to challenge it. The notice that you have should have a deadline on there, so that's the most important thing to honor, but the rule is 15 days. You have to initiate that process in writing. So again, your notice should give you a person to contact and a deadline to contact them by to say, I want to challenge this decision, essentially. Once you do that in writing, the DDRO director will schedule a meeting with you, and you can go and talk to them about why you disagree and why you believe that you should have the housing subsidy. And after that meeting, they will send you a letter that summarizes what happened at the meeting and the result of the meeting, whatever conclusion you came to. And if you're not satisfied with that, then you have another chance to challenge the appeal or to challenge the decision. And you have 7 days from the date of that letter to send in writing why you disagree with that. So you won't have another meeting, it'll be in writing, but it's another chance to challenge that decision. And then after that, that's the total of the OPWDD challenges. Anything after that would be more complicated. And as a resource for something, if you run into any challenges accessing the housing subsidy program, you can contact the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Ombuds Program, or IDDO. I'm sure many, if not all of you, have heard of this program before, but they're available to help people access services through OPWDD, including the housing subsidy. So now I have some time for questions. I can't give individualized advice right now. Um, so please don't give any personal information. And just also as a reminder before I start answering questions that the policy memo is supposed to come out soon. That might change this. So this is the information as it stands, but keep in mind that this could be changing.
All right. Thank you, Megan. That was great. And I see a hand and I'll help you get through that. But if you want after, just put your contact information in the chat if people want to reach out that way, if they have personal stuff. And thank you, Paula, for connecting us. Everyone knows Paula from New York Lawyers, and she comes to all of our meetings and does many presentations. And she was the one that reached out behind the scenes to connect me to Megan to get this. So appreciate you and your whole team there. So, Rochelle, you have a question for Megan?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Megan. It was really very helpful. I have a few questions. One is for a person who is under family or agency guardianship, are they still eligible for the subsidy? And if so, how can they sign a lease? How does that work?
That would depend on whatever their guardianship agreement is, whether they can sign the lease. They're supposed to be the person with their name on the lease. There's no restriction in the ADM on whether a person under guardianship can or can't access it. So that would probably be more specific to whatever specific guardianship agreement they have if they can meet the other requirements for eligibility. So there's no rule against it, but you would just have to work through those more specific issues depending on the person.
Yeah, depending if there's guardianship of property, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on
Yeah.
guardianship, so I can't say for sure, but I could see that that might be a question, but I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. If we can get back to us with some information on that, I think it could affect, a significant number of people.
Mhm.
The other thing is, given the high cost of housing in our area and the maximum allowable of the subsidy, are family members who have the ability able to subsidize a person's housing costs? And is that considered legitimate within the housing application? How does it affect the subsidy?
So if family members can contribute to paying for housing costs, they might have to submit other documents like a signed statement that they promise to
Mhm.
to do so, but it's just important to keep in mind that that could affect other benefits like SSI, if they're getting that and it counts as income. So it is allowed under housing subsidy, but just to be
Uh-huh.
mindful of how it might affect other benefits.
Okay, good to know. And my last question is, how much of a lag is there generally between the final approval and a person actually starting to receive money?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if people have personal experience and they wanted to share. Again, don't share anything too personal, but if you had a
Yeah.
super long lag, and you wanted to voice that, feel free. But I can't speak to the general experience of the lag.
I'm Megan.
Hello.
My name is Martha. So I literally just got a final approval this morning for a subsidy that I submitted the end of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is a there's a little bit of time. So
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate you sharing your experience. I'm sorry that it took so long.
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you for your questions.
Ryan, you're muted.
And that's why. Sorry, Rochelle. Um, there was a question in the chat from Lori. Would you be able to talk about the different types of housing programs?
So this presentation is just about the housing subsidy, but I know OPWDD just updated their website on the housing page, so maybe that was going to be part of the program report. I don't mean to steal anybody's thunder, but that might be a helpful resource to look at for that.
Thank you. And then we had another question. Can parents be co-signers on a lease if they do not live in the apartment?
That feels like a more complicated housing law question. I don't know. I mean, it would depend on if you meant like co-sign in the sense of like a guarantor or if you want to have two names on the lease. Um, I think it would depend. So the person with the disability, their name has to be on the lease. That is the rule. As far as co-signing, if you also live there, then your share of the cost of the housing would not be covered. So there's no, as far as I see, no rule against having co-signers. But does that answer your question?
It was left in the chat, so hopefully it does. Or please, if you ask that, please feel free to unmute and clarify, or get more details.
Yes,
I don't see.
I'm sorry.
Okay, there we go.
I did ask that. So the question is, we were going to be, we are going to supplement her income for the apartment because in New York City, apartments, are more expensive, but not by much. But to be a guarantor on a lease, they require 80 times the rental income. And we don't have that. So they were suggesting that we be a co-signer on the lease, although we would be non-occupants. And we just wondered whether OPWDD would have a problem with that.
So I am hesitant to give a specific answer because it would depend on the circumstances, but you can either call this number and we can refer you more information, or you can call IDDO. They'll be able to give you more like individualized advice than I can in this setting.
Okay. And what was the number, the second organization you mentioned?
Like NYLPI's phone number, I'll send it in the chat again. And
I
then
have that, but you said another one.
the IDDO is the Ombuds program.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I can send their, sorry.
They did a presentation for us a few months back, and if you actually go on our website or to our YouTube, I think we still have their presentation posted, or at least you'll be able to see through our video. You can scrub through and find their contact on there, but I'm sure Megan can provide it as well.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you.
No problem.
And this was a great presentation.
I also want to remind people that when you are dealing with anything that has to do with OPWDD, you can call OPWDD with questions. I mean, they are the people running this program. So if you have any specific questions and run into trouble, OPWDD should be able to guide you. That's it.
That's a good point. Thank you, Paula.
And when you attend these meetings, we have great OPW reps that join us. So if they can't specifically answer your question, they can take it back and try to get answers for you guys. All right, I don't see any other questions. So is there anyone that wants to ask anything before we let Megan go? All right. Well, thank you again, Megan. That was so informative, and I know this group appreciates that. And if you can share any version of the presentation so I can post it on our site along with the recording from today, you may get some more people that reach out or view it that weren't there today. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you all for listening.
Appreciate you. All right, so we're going to jump around again. I'm sorry, Dion. I hope you have a few extra minutes, but Nina did jump on from OPW. So I'm going to go back to Nina for the OPW report, and then we'll go back to the second presentation for Dion at Uniquely Me.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Brian. Megan, thank you for your presentation. I joined late, but I was able, I heard you. Great. So the big change is coming with the housing subsidy ADM, right? We hope that a draft with revisions will be offered to the public soon, right? And we're looking, we collected all the feedback from the stakeholders over the last several years, right? And I hope we're gonna, our new ADM will have more clarity, and we'll have more relaxed rules about the approvals. We also have Lucy Omezi on the phone today, and Lucy is over the housing team that includes housing subsidy, right? I heard some specific questions, so if people want to reach out to us directly, feel free to do so, and we can post our emails. I'm going to start with some updates from OPWDD. I'll speak about governor's executive budget. We have identified key initiatives. The budget includes a strong focus on affordability across New York State. The major proposal includes $2 billion in childcare investments aimed at making childcare more widely accessible for working families, including the direct support workforce. The budget includes a new initiative also titled These Lands Are For Everyone. This initiative focuses on making New York State parks more accessible for individuals with disabilities, and OPWDD will be partnering this year with State Parks and Recreation on accessibility improvements across the state. The governor is also pushing health equity initiatives. The budget highlights health equity for individuals with disabilities. The Department of Health, Disability and Health Program will lead a data collection initiative to identify barriers to healthcare access for individuals with disabilities. As our agency already began collaborating with DOH and provider to support this effort. In the coming weeks, OPWDD will announce awards related to regional disability health clinics, and these awards will come from $75 million investment made last year to expand healthcare access through Article 28 and Article 16 clinics. And these projects will include improvements such as sensory rooms, accessible dental equipment, expanded clinical space, and additional specialty services. The budget also includes proposals to expand post-secondary education opportunities for individuals with disabilities. This includes development of credit-bearing post-second programs at SUNY and CUNY for students with disabilities. The proposal also expands American Sign Language and translation service access. The governor announced investments in healthcare innovation through AI and technology partnerships. DOH will establish a healthcare consortium with AI experts to improve healthcare delivery. OPWDD continues its partnership with SUNY and New York State Chief Disability Office on a technology consortium focused on employment supports. Graduate students are developing AI tools, virtual reality programs, and mobile technologies to improve employment access and job retention for individuals with disabilities. So the proposed budget adds $5 million to expand this work and support these technologies through Empire State Development Plan. From the overview of OPWDD budget, our agency's budget increases its spending to $7.7 billion, representing 4.3% growth. The budget maintains funding across all OPWDD programs, including FSS and waiver services. It includes $120 million in new funding for individuals who are new entering the system or individuals who are experiencing increased needs. The budget provides 5% increase for family care providers. It also includes additional inflationary increase of 1.7% for providers. Both legislative houses have proposed increasing that provider increases go to 4%, and we'll see how budget negotiations will go. The state budget also includes $95 million to fund the local share of Medicare cost. And this funding will help to protect New York programs from potential reductions, which are tied to federal Medicaid policy changes. OPWDD, we also make improvements on our website because we would like to increase accessibility and clarity for individuals and families. A new family resource page has been launched to help families navigate services, supports, and ways to get involved. The employment page has been updated and includes new steps to employment guide developed by the DDAC Employment Committee. The front door informational videos are now available in 13 languages, including American Sign Language. The housing page continues to expand to explain the continuum of residential supports and housing resources. And OPWDD has also released the latest by the numbers data report, where we are providing updated statewide service utilization data. With ARPA workforce investment review, our agency released a report from the University of Minnesota evaluating ARPA workforce investments, and the report found that ARPA-funded initiatives were successful in improving workforce stability, and the key findings include workforce vacancy rates have improved, staff retention have increased, and job satisfaction improved compared to pre-pandemic levels. And just to remind you that the ARPA funding, it was a federal funding given to New York State, to our agencies by the feds during the COVID time. And it was the funding to keep the staff afloat and continue deliver the services. And the last thing I'm gonna mention that our OPWDD Council's office in working on providing HIPAA training for council members, for FSS, for the FSS councils and committees. And scheduling of that training is being coordinated with committee leadership to accommodate the members. And, we are moving with the AI, right? And all the systems moving to electronic formats. It's important to set the rules, HIPAA rules, and be mindful of how the information is shared. So that's it for me for today. Any questions? Hi, Deborah.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for Nina. Which type of training? Because I know that we're required to do the conflict of interest, and one more that I forgot the name. But is it also in reference with HIPAA too?
That is going to be, as my understanding, is going to be separate. And HIPAA is related to Health Insurance Affordability and the Accountability Act. It's a training about authorized and unauthorized disclosures of the information, of personal information, health information.
Okay, because I know that when we were in the state, I was up at the statewide, and also before they did tell us we're getting trainings, but they didn't give us the dates. They said they'll let us know.
No date, right?
I didn't get anything yet, so I'll let everybody know when I'm doing the trainings afterwards. Okay, thank you, Nina.
No problem.
Okay.
Any other questions for Nina? All right. Well, thank you, Nina. Hopefully your internet stays up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Now we'll circle back to our second presenter, Dion Jones, the founder of Uniquely Me Creative Arts.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Brian, for having us back. And we are happy to come back and share our updates and also introduce ourselves to some that may be new to the call today. I want to share my screen. All right, so I'm going to tell you all a little bit about my story and my son's story, Elijah. So Uniquely Me Creative Arts was founded because of my son's story. He was born with Down syndrome, and at 5, he was diagnosed with autism. And this really, really shook my world. I was 22 years old. I had no clue of how to just navigate this new world that I was thrust into. I didn't know that, he was going to be born with Down syndrome. Nonetheless, here he is, my pride and joy. And as a result of both of his diagnoses, he also struggles with sensory processing disorder. And sensory processing disorder is a condition where the brain has difficulties processing and responding to information received through the senses. And sometimes they also present with behavioral challenges because our children are not properly coping with the environment. And so we started UMCA to support children with their sensory sensitivities through music, dance, drama, and the arts. And like I said earlier, when I had him, I was very young and I had to really learn how to navigate this system, and I had to build community. I had to take him all the way to 86th Street just to receive proper, adequate services. So one of the really beautiful parts of our program for UMCA is our parent piece, because being able to stick together and network together as parents and come together and share the joys and challenges of raising our children is very important. So that's why we started UMCA, to help children with their sensory sensitivities and also help parents to navigate this world and also be able to find and utilize the resources to help their children thrive. And in addition to Elijah's, abilities and being able to inspire me to do things, he also inspired me to become a special education teacher. So this is my world, both professionally and personally. I used to be a special education teacher for the New York City Public Schools. Then I became an assistant principal supervising special education. And now I'm a math and science coach. So like I said earlier, this is definitely my world professionally and personally. And I take great pride in being able to help parents and to show them that you're not alone and we can stick together to navigate this world. So that's pretty much what UMCA does. We are a twofold program. We have sensory-focused creative arts workshops, and we also have our family chats. We are a nonprofit, and we started in 2023 right here in the great borough of Brooklyn. Our mission is to improve sensory processing disorder for children with special needs through sensory-focused creative arts activities, while their families engage in family chats led by experts in the special needs field. Our core values are empathy and support, and knowledge and growth. So what we offer. So since we last were on, we actually opened up a sensory zone in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, where children can come, navigate the space, and really own it and develop other relationships with their peers, right? So part of our children, sometimes they don't socialize amongst their peers. So we really encourage that through sensory play. And then we also have the space where parents can come and talk with one another and be able to share ideas and resources. We have our Sensory Saturdays, which happens once a month at Bethany Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York. That's where we actually started from 2 years ago. We started out at our church, and we still actually work out of our church, and we host some of our big events and our Sensory Saturdays. So Sensory Saturdays is where parents, they come, they have their own separate parent room, and then the children, they have their own sensory room. And that's where we bring in therapists for the families, such as occupational therapists, speech therapists, to really support and build that network. We also have a sensory curriculum where we go into private schools and charter schools to, really, again, use the arts to help children with their sensory sensitivities. And I'll talk a little bit more about each of our program a little bit later on in the presentation. So I just wanted to touch on our why just a little bit more and really dig a little bit more deeper into sensory processing disorder. I know I gave a little bit of information earlier, but we have 8 senses. I know that some of us know our 5 senses, the ability to be able to taste, see, hear, touch, and smell, but we also have 3 other senses that impact our children and adults' ability to cope with the environment. We have proprioception, and that's the body's ability to know how much force it needs to complete an activity properly. Then we have our vestibular, that's our body's, the way we know our spatial orientation, whether we're going left, right, really our balance, right, and being able to navigate our spatial orientation safely. Then you have interoception, and that's our body's ability to know when to use the restroom, how to distinguish between hot and cold surfaces. My son did not toilet train until he was 15 years old, and that's because his body, the senses was not telling him, hey, you need to use the restroom here, and this is what you need to do. So we had to really work on sensory sensitivities through a sensory diet because there is no real cure for sensory processing disorder. So what we do at the sensory zone is we actually work on, let's say if a child struggles with proprioception, right? We have some weighted blankets. We also now have some weighted vests to really give children that sensory input to be able to complete the activity without using so much force. We have a rock climbing wall to support vestibular. We have our trampoline. Again, that's to support the vestibular area. We really take pride in focusing on sensory sensitivities, even the tactile touches, because sometimes our children have adverse reaction when they don't like a certain touch or a certain smell. And we don't want them to be able to cope with the environment by having behavioral challenges. We also do programming for parents where we do workshops and we show you how to actually have home strategies to support their sensory systems. And I'm going to give the slide deck to Brian and you all can use it as a resource. So this is our sensory zone. Like I said earlier, we just opened up. We're really, really excited. We're there every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. It is for free. Parents can come in. That is a drop-in class. So you do have to, be interactive. It's not like our Sensory Saturday where it's a respite where families get to actually, have their children with a special education teacher and trained therapists supporting their, needs in the sensory room. Some of our children programming, we have held a silent headphone party. We make sensory clouds. This is a picture of the sensory zone. Again, children just really own the space and the families interact with them. And it's just a great experience for them. We just started a partnership with BAM. We held our last Sensory Saturday at BAM instead of at the church, where we brought in Dr. Sam Blanco, who is a board-certified behavior analyst, and Janet Delgado to meet and give the families tips and strategies on how to support their children, particularly through applied behavior analysis. So it was a great session, and the children were there as well. They were in the reading room of the Brooklyn Academy of Music of Arts. So we're just really happy to develop community partnerships because the more community partnerships we develop, the better off our families are thriving and be able to get the resources that they need. We just recently, this past Saturday, held our very first legislative and clergy breakfast. It was absolutely amazing. Our panel really poured into our families and given them, certain legislations that they're working on and how they're going to improve the community. We had Senator Jabari Brisport there, the Assistant Chief of Community Affairs, Ms. Victoria Perry. We had our keynote speaker, who better than our very own Deputy Borough Brooklyn President, Kim Council, who was actually an elected official and a member of clergy. We had our very own superstar, rock star, Deborah Graff, really giving the families those, resources on how to get those family support services. We had my pastor there, Reverend Dr. Adolphus C. Lacey, who opened up the doors of Bethany for UMCA to be able to serve the community. And we had our very own Assemblywoman, Stephanie Zinnerman, who represents the 56th district. And again, we building community. That is what we're grounded in. And our families got an opportunity to really ask questions. We also received video remarks from Senator Schumer and a letter of recognition from Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. And I say all of this to say is that we need the support of the community. We need the support of the elected officials to be able to provide these necessary services that are helping to close gaps. So this was our first one, and we just welcome the idea of just keeping expanding and making sure that we are servicing the community. We also had My Time Inc. there. Mr. Wayne Clark was there, one of my mentors, him and his wife, Dr. Diva Lucina Clark. So again, building community and making sure we're closing the gaps. And like I said earlier, our families are a huge piece of our programming. We recently went to see Hell's Kitchen together. Then we went out to eat afterwards. We go out for brunches. We celebrate birthdays together. You name it. Just really building that community. Say, hey, what's going on with your child? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? What medicine is helping with schools? And we have our own WhatsApp chat where we just connect and drop in resources and show each other love. I also discussed about our sensory curriculum. We had a partnership with the DAP Community Network where we went into the classrooms, and it was absolutely amazing to see, children that with just a smile on their face based on the activities that we brought to them. If you see in the middle, you'll see that's a music shaker, which has a different textures and is filled with rice. So, as they shake it, it makes sounds, and they just really enjoy. Some of the children didn't like to touch the feathers, and they were a little resistant at first, but then we worked with them and they were able to tolerate it. So that's what we really want our children to be able to tolerate their environment and cope with their environment. I would like to share a parent testimony. It's about 3 minutes. Do I have enough time, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just let me know if you all can hear it. I may have to stop sharing really quickly to put the audio on. Just let me know if you can hear it.
My name is Joanne. I have twin boys. They just turned 13.
Can you hear it?
One has special needs and
We
one
can.
does not.
My name is Alexandra. I'm a mom of 10-year-old autistic, ADHD, and nonverbal boy.
All right, so we have Jessica here, who is one of our long-standing UMCA parents.
Story with my son. He was very smart when he was born. Around the age of 4 years old, I noticed that he was different socially. So
I remember his teacher, his principal of the school actually posted UMCA on the site, and I was like, wow, what is this?
One thing that I didn't expect when he started growing up and is that my usual circle of friends will change. That
when I found out about the program, it was like a breath of fresh air, right?
I'm just so honored because I never thought that I would ever find somewhere where I can let my head down and just feed off of each other and just ask if is your child doing this and is your child doing that, or not look upon negatively. So
this is where UMCA is a godsend. Pretty much, we found a community, we found friends, we found fun activities to do, and I would say that everything is very stress-free.
Walking into the room with a group of mothers who understand me, it's a different feeling, right? Like right now I have my background as a vacation. I feel like every mom that has a child with special needs, sometimes we need our time, and being at UMCA is like being on a vacation.
It's one thing to find an organization, but it's another thing to feel the love and the connection when you first walk in the doors.
Yeah, UMCA is a wonderful organization. It's a community. It's a family.
UMCA is my family forever.
I'm just going to go back to presenting. And again, that's what we really want to stress is having parents come in an environment and let their hair down. And while their children are playing safely and they're learning and they're thriving and learning how to build those social skills, and we're networking and just really supporting each other, not just on that particular Saturday, on an everyday consistent basis, we're reaching out to each other. These are some of our community partners. Again, we cannot do it without the community. And what's next at UMCA? We have our sensory zone coming up this Saturday. Again, it is free. We are working on becoming a community class for those that have self-direction. So we'll give you updates on that. But we really, really appreciate everyone's support. And please follow us on our website. From our website, you're able to now go and be able to actually.
Dion,
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Your presentation's not up.
Oh, sorry. Let me just go to it now. And I'm just talking. All right, let me go back to it. So this is what's next at UMCA. Again, March 28th, coming up this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. We'll be at the sensory zone for our drop-in class. And again, we are working on becoming a community class for our drop-in class. And please visit our website, umcanyc.org, umcanyc.org. And from there, you can find our social media handles, register for classes, register, inquire about our curriculum, and just really become a part of our community. And I am going to stop sharing. And if anyone has any questions so I can see the audience, there we go.
All right. Thank you for coming back and presenting again for us, Dion. Debbie has a question for you.
Yes. Hi.
Hey, hi, my dear. No, semi-question. No, it's really want to tell you, I do get contacted by Dion's families regularly. No, they're not. Nothing is negative. They're very happy, and they feel like, oh my God, somebody's hearing me. Because I know how they feel. Everyone goes, oh, your son's so high functioning. They forgot Chris was a child once who couldn't talk, and the services were not always easy to get, and there was not enough. There was hardly anything in my area either, where I live. So to see how our system has come so forward, the pastor of her church is fantastic, and I'm just making sure that we get this program and similar programs, because we should have sensory rooms and stuff around all of the borough and different agencies. Also, everyone should know that the retired head of the New York, New Jersey Port Authority, Rick Cotton, is a parent of a child with daughter with autism. They have a quiet room in Newark, one now in LaGuardia, and they're going to be building more than one. Well, I'm pushing them to build more than one in Kennedy Airport. So society is getting more and more understanding, accepting of our children. But I want everyone to know, Dion makes me feel great because, you see, I'm much older than them, and I took over from the elder parents who started the system. So I just want everyone, we have to keep helping. So Dion, excellent.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for all your support and paying it forward. Because like you said, we have to continue it. So, when I get older, I'm paying it forward so we can keep it going.
That's right.
Thank
Very
you.
proud of you. You're
Yes,
welcome.
Thank you and Chris and Cousin Ann.
Yes, we all love you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Erica.
Good morning, Dion. This speaks volumes to me. I'm a mom of a 4-year-old who has autism 3 nonverbal. My question is, with the sensory room, how do you deal with those in mouth the majority of space?
Say it one more time. That like who mouths?
Sorry, my.
And so what we have to monitor it, right? And we also make sure that we have items in the sensory zone that is not, harmful if it does go and, if it does get into their mouth, and we don't, have those little small little knick-knack rainy things that definitely cause, challenges. So we are very aware that we have children at mouth, and again, making sure that the materials are, kid safe, and that we're not using those little itty bitty things that can get lodged in their throats.
Okay. Okay, because I said with this stuff as well, because I know that the oral sensory is real on my side of town. So
Absolutely. And, and I understand totally, because, my son is the opposite. He doesn't want to put anything in his mouth. So we, even try to work on children who need that support. And, we're getting ready to start to have them doing baking so they can start to tolerate those different textures for the children who are on the opposite side of that, right?
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. And definitely come join us.
Oh, as you were talking, I was on the phone with
Yes,
Dad.
register.
It's hard to find things out there, especially for the younger kids. Especially, like I said, my son is 4, and the mouthing, putting constantly. So this is refreshing, and you will see us. You will see the three of us.
Thank you. We have two separate two separate age groups. So we have 3 to 10 from 11 to 12:30. Then 12:40, we have our 11 to 18-year-olds for the bigger children, because my son is 18 and he thinks he's too grown now. So we do have things
I get
it. Yes.
I get it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, Lucina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Lucina, coach of legislative committee, also executive director and co-founder of My Timing. I want to say thank you to Dion. She's doing such amazing work as far as the children are concerned, also including the parents, because so often our parents are not given the resources they need. And Miss Erica, it's good to be a part of these meetings also to get information so you can share with others. So the same way when we have our meetings here at, when Brian has these meetings, come in as parents as well to get information also on legislation. I just want to thank, before I came in a little bit to thank everyone who attended the legislative town hall with Brian and Rochelle and my other Dr. Maria Willis. It was amazing. And again, getting involved. I know Dion had one this weekend also, but I was unable to attend because we had a retreat with 12 women as part of My Timing. And I know Wayne went to the event. So I'm glad that he was able to be there. But again, as we say with parents and even as providers this year, invite your parents. There's a lot of information here as well for parents to come and receive and learn. Don't limit and say, no, it's only for providers. It's not only for providers, for you, the parents, share it. Share the information so you can come on and hear what providers have openings, what services they're having as well. So I just want to say thank you all. And we have our second meeting, the second Thursday of every month. I apologize for the last meeting. I didn't send out the flyer in time, but we're always on time. It was always a blessing in disguise, I say. So thank you all, and Brian, do a great job in getting information out there. And my co-chair, Dr. Maria Willis, we're always here to inform, provide information, and work with the providers and you, the parents, on knowing how to speak and how to advocate for your children. So thank you all. And Dion, great job.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lucina. I truly appreciate your support. You and Mr. Wayne, Denise, everybody. Thank you.
All right. I don't see any more questions for you, Dion, but thank you for the presentation. And you'll share it with me. I'll get it on the website with the recording. And I'm sure you'll get a bunch of people reaching out.
Yes, Brian, all that you do for everyone, everywhere, we truly, truly appreciate you. Like, hats off to you, Brian. Sending out emails, you know how you do everything. All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome.
All right. So now I will go back to our normal agenda, and I will go to Debbie for the family support update and MTA update.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, everyone. Okay. Christopher's not here. He's at 2 Broadway advocating to make sure that our system is truly accessible. He's testifying in each of the committees there. So I'm going to do his fast. We put this on our website, well, with Brian. Please, if you see it says, help us select stations for accessibility upgrades, please, you need to contact the MTA, and you can email them us at accessibility@mtahq.org, and it is on both websites. Next, Governor Kathy Hochul today announced the MTA is seeking proposals from rail car manufacturers, the largest subway car contract in history, with a base order of 1,140 subway cars to replace the R62 and R62A that are operating on the 1, 3, and 6 line. And another option is to get more cars because we have to replace other cars on the 2, 4, and 5. Now, this is all being paid through congesting pricing. And I will tell you, as a person now who's using a mobility device, it makes life a lot easier. They're easier to board these trains. There are more options for seats for people who use wheelchairs. Instead of being locked, pushed into a corner, you actually can sit with your family members. And tomorrow, right, Tuesday, September 24th at 6 p.m., as you know, Chris has the ADA Accessibility Transportation meeting. It's from around 6 p.m. It is on Ring Central. The information is on both websites. And now I'm going to do really quick with the advisory. Okay, I want you to know that on Wednesday, March 11th, I did the statewide virtually. And yes, we were talking about budgeting for the family support dollars, because remember, this is the family support. We're discussing issues that are coming up with the ADM, but we did have a few success stories. One of councils was able to bring up that they were able to prevent a family from becoming homeless through the housing subsidies that is part of OPWDD family support. Now, my speaker at the last meeting was Mr. Ryan Fortello, who's from Sydney. He appears, he does come every time we have resource fair. Why? You know, the service is for our children, not us. And many times we need, as parents, help. So Ryan was explaining how he helps families apply for Social Security and other benefits, or how to advocate if you need more help to get on Section 8 or others. So we appreciate it very much. Now, our last, we did it at the Bay Ridge Library. It was March 13th, and it went very well. The next one we'll have is on Tuesday. Sir, yes. Wait, making boo boo. Okay, it's going to be on April 10th at the Windsor Terrace Library, which is 160 East 5th Street, and it's in the Windsor Terrace area. It is accessible to get there. May 1st, we're going to go to Stone. We're going to do one in Mother Gadsden Boulevard, the Stone Avenue branch. Now, our last meeting was April 21st. No, I'm sorry, that's the next one. The last one I just mentioned was with Ryan. We don't have a speaker at the moment, but we will be talking about how well did Family Support Services survive after the budget was going to be passed. Now, also, do you want me to do quickly the provider information?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, thank you. Okay. The last we had was also Wednesday, March 11th. We had Nick LaBruna, he used to be with PHP, but now he's with New York Healthcare. He gave a great explanation of what his services are and how to get them health care for our families. Our next meeting, for the provider information, my co-chair is Rose Saul. It's going to be on, because of Passover, we're going to Wednesday, the 3rd is April 15th, and it will be on Central. We will be sending out all the flyers. One quick announcement I'd like to make, and it'll be quick. If anybody's having issues with the reimbursement because of the changes to the ADM reimbursement, bless you, never sneezed, please email me at bfssac@yahoo.com. No, I'm not telling you I'm going to fix it. We need to know what issues are you having and what is the problem, how that you're not getting the reimbursement. Also, if not, have your care managers email me. As chair of the subcommittee, we're just trying to make sure that the program works well so that the families who need the reimbursement will get it. So please just let us know. Email me. Anybody that's going to make it appropriate to get it is the Brooklyn DDRO. You send it to them, but you are allowed to appeal. And on the OPWD website, where you can get through the links for both Brian's website and mine, we will be very happy to explain to you how to advocate. But please make sure that you and your care manager work together if you have one. If not, but please let them know if there are issues. Brian, thank you very much for letting me do all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. All right, I'm gonna ask, do any other coach or any of the Brooklyn Council Committee co-chairs present that want to talk about their meetings, upcoming meetings, updates? I know Lucina kind of tied it into her comment to Dion.
Yes, so also to remind them, the next meeting is Thursday, April 9th at 10. I will send out the new flyer so you can look in either from Brian or from us to get the information. Please join us. Again, I know through the legislative town hall, your representatives was reiterating you don't have to come to Albany. Their offices are right local. And Rachel had brought up in our meeting about the one click. A lot of you be getting the email for the one click because I know some people don't have the time to go or just sit and have or send an email. Check your email, one click the button so your legislator can know who you're supporting, how they can support your DSPs and even the providers and your individuals with a disability. So thank you, Brian. My coach and Maria have anything to say? Is he not? Okay,
You
thank
said
you.
it all. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, I don't see any. Oh, Pilar, sorry. You're muted.
Hi everyone. We did just have our March Meaningful Day and Employment Services Committee meeting. It was on St. Patrick's Day. So the presentation and recording should be already up on the DD Council website for anyone that missed it. I am not sure about an April meeting. We are trying to figure out if it's uh, feasible. We know there's a lot of like days off from school and all that stuff. So trying to figure something out as far as the committee goes. So just stick around. If you do see the flyer, it may be more towards the end of April. And I think that was it. I don't know if there was any other meaningful day stuff. Oh, suggestions for topics. We'll probably be talking about adult transition. So transition from high school Department of Education to adult-based services.
Thank you, Pilar. Okay. So just for our meeting, the next meeting is April 27th. That is the last Monday, 10 a.m. via Zoom. You guys know the deal at this point. And I believe for that meeting, we have a presentation from the New York City Department of Aging. Hopefully, we're trying. Rochelle is trying to confirm that for us, but they are coming to do a presentation. We're hoping it'll work out for the 27th, but we just need to confirm it. And if there's nothing else from the council, I will now open it up for agency announcements and news and opportunities. So just do the hand raise and I'll get to you guys as you pop up. If you want to, aside from putting it in the chat, if you want to make announcements for upcoming events and openings and opportunities. Matthew from YI.
Hello, everyone. Yes, this is Matthew with YAI. I just wanted to announce the upcoming semester of the Independent Living Skills Group. It's a family support program that we have for 18 and older. We are serving Brooklyn families for this group, as well as the Bronx. It's going to be 10 weeks starting April 9th. I did add the flyer in the chat earlier before. Email grouptraining@yi.org for more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Erica?
Good morning again, everyone. I'm Erica. I'm the intake coordinator. Everyone, New York. Almost said Heaven's Hands. I just wanted to let everyone know that we do currently have openings in our Sunset Parks, actually in the Street City location, as well as our East 98th Street location in Brownsville. Both locations are fully wheelchair accessible, so I did leave my contact information in the chat, my cell phone, and my email. So should you have any questions or know of anyone that is interested in the day service program, please have them reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Laura?
Hi, this is Laura Indick from Brooklyn Public Library. We have a few of our kind of usual things coming up and a few special one-time things. So our monthly Music for Autism concert is March 28th, which is this coming Saturday at the Sunset Park Library, and it is bilingual this time, which is a cool thing. We usually only do that like once a year. So English, Spanish, and I will put the flyers and the links in the chat for these things. Then
And
our
they'll be
next,
getting that blasted out for me. I know Carrie sent it to
awesome.
me. So
Thank
that'll
you
be
so
coming out
much.
after the meeting.
Appreciate that. And then we have our monthly developmental disability resource fair. The next one is April 10th at Windsor Terrace. But I will send we have a flyer that shows the next few ones and their locations. And we have our monthly, we call it Navigating Your Child's Disability. It's a monthly phone appointment with Ruth from Include NYC. It's super helpful for any parents who have questions about their kids' school services they should be getting, IEP, that kind of thing. The next one is Wednesday, April 8th. So you, or if there's someone you're telling about this, just have to email us to get on the list for an appointment. And then one more cool thing is we're having an event called Smash the Stigma, April 14th at the Jamaica Bay Library, and it's specifically focused on teen mental health. So, and that's like a one-time thing. So you have one chance to go. And yeah, I'll put those all in the chat. Just let me know if you have any questions or want to know anything else. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. All right, I don't see any other hands. Does anyone want to jump in with any last minute updates or announcements? Otherwise, you guys will get almost a half hour back in your day. Going once, going twice. All right, save the date, June 18th, Brooklyn College, our big family support fair. And we will see you guys at April's meeting next month.
See you next month, Brian.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah. Happy holidays. See you next month.
See you next month.
Bye, Brian.
Hi, Ann.
Bye.
Hi, Ann.
Yes.
Hi.
And they're all saying hi. They all miss you. She's slowly feeling better.
Glad to hear it.
I'm
Yes, I'm feeling a little better.